Hey everybody, just want to welcome you to week 11, module 11 for ME 171 Design Developments. Within this module, we're going to be taking a look at chapter 12 in our textbook covering the topic of springs. We're also going to take some time and go over this 5-page outline for our group project. This will be due at the end of this week on Friday. So some bookkeeping items, we have a lot going on this week. Your quiz number 11 has been posted, and this will be due on Friday the 16th by 4 p.m. Your 5-page outline will also be due on Friday the 16th by 4 p.m. And you do have your homework number 5. This will be released at the beginning of this week and due next Monday, the 19th, by the end of the day. So just a reminder, as always, I do have office hours scheduled on Thursdays from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. If this time doesn't work for you, please send me an email, a message, or a chat on Teams. We'll find a time that works for both of us. Also, our TA does have office hours scheduled for Wednesdays from 10 to 11:30 a.m. The TA is the one who's going to be grading your homework assignments, your 5-page outline, your projects, and your exams. So if you have any grading related questions or questions on how things are going to be graded, please use his office hours and take advantage of that. So now let's take a look at our schedule as we move through towards the end of our semester here. This week we're on our module 11. So first lecture is going to be covering our chapter 12 with the topic of springs, and we'll be assigning homework number 5. And again, you're going to have your 5-page outline due at the end of the week, and your homework 5 will be due at the beginning on Monday of next week. So one thing to note is that there is no live lecture on Thursday this week. This is a reading and respite day from the university, so it's the time to catch up and get a little bit of a rest as we head into the final stretch of our semester. So there is no office hours and there is no live lecture on Thursday the 15th. Now moving forward, we do have our second exam coming up. So we'll be moving towards that. We'll have one more topic on chapter 14 before we get to our exam number 2. Then we're going to move on to our chapter 15 and chapter 17, covering gears and shafts, and we'll take a look at our final report and our presentations for our group project, going through the last 3 weeks of our semester. So as we look at our module 11, we'll be covering the topic of springs. So within this module, we're going to analyze the use of springs within our design process. So springs are defined as elastic members that exert force or torques and absorb energy, which is usually stored and then later released. So springs are usually, but not necessarily, made of metal. Sometimes we'll even see them as a reinforced plastic composite. So within this module, we're going to take a look at a variety of different types of springs and then analyze their equations related to each type of spring and see which application they are best suited for. So within this module, in our chapter 12, we're going to take a look at torsion bar springs, coil spring stress and deflection equations, helical compression springs, stress and strength analysis, end design, buckling analysis, design procedure, and fatigue loading, all for our helical compression springs. Then we'll take a look at helical extension springs and finish up with our beam springs and our torsion springs. So again, this relates to chapter 12, sections 1 through 12. So we'll break this module down into 2 different sections, module 11.1 and module 11.2. Within module 11.1, we'll take a look at springs. Again, we're taking a look at a variety of these different types of springs. So torsion, coil springs, helical compression springs, helical extension springs, beam springs, and our torsion springs. Now from this selection of springs, we're going to figure out how we down select these springs and find out which ones are ideal for different practical applications. Then we're going to discuss the governing equations related to each of these different types of springs. So within our activities this module, we'll go through that theory for each of these spring types, talk about those governing equations, look at our practical applications, and then go through some problem solving together. Now for our module 11.2, this does fall on April 15th, which is a reading day as assigned by the university. So the university has added these 2 days to the spring semester calendar in order to provide students and faculty alike with an opportunity to catch up or take a break while we make our way through this final push in the semester. So the first one was March 24th. This one is now April 15th. So what that means is that there are no classes on either of these dates. So as a result, there's no required appointments or meetings. There's going to be no labs, no exams, no office hours, no remote classes, and no makeup work online is going to be added to your students' regular workloads on these days. So I won't be adding any extra work. That also means for us that there is no live remote lecture, and all material for April 15th course has been canceled, and there are no office hours that are going to follow our class that we normally have on Thursday. So because the university has decided to have this as a reading day, we are not going to have office hours this week, and we're not going to have a class on Thursday. So this is important. The university wants us to note this is important for us as faculty and students to have these brief periods of rest. So I know some students have had some questions in regard to our outline, our 5-page outline for our group project. So I just want to go over this again. This is broken down. I've changed the scaling a little bit on our grading for this, just to give the grader a little bit more opportunity to award you points and not to take off complete amount of points for this. So rather than these being 2 points each, I bumped these up to 10 points each. So this is out of a 60-point scale now. Everything is still equally weighted. I just wanted to give him the opportunity to award partial credit for each of these. So within this, we're following step 2 and step 3 of the document for our group project that we're going to include within this 5-page outline. 10 of the points, see in red here, are for the existing designs and background research. So find out what you need to know about the existing designs, associated standards, what need to be met. These may be from industry, government regulations, and figure out how these were determined. So this is our 10 points there for the background research, looking at our standards. Another 10 points for information on how the components were manufactured and the purpose methods. Another 10 points for the 5 separate components per team. So this right here, I do need to see 5 individual components. Now you don't have to have them completely done out in FEA to the final product, but I would like to see a drawing of each one of these, whether it's just a hand drawing, a 2D CAD drawing, or if you do have your 3D model and you can include that with some FEA, that's great too. It's not required, but I do need to see a diagram, a model, a drawing, and a description for each of these 5 components, along with, this comes in here, our general analysis of motion and loads for the overall device and individual components. I want to see those governing equations. I want to see what the analytical solution is. If you have done some FEA, that's great to include it, but I need to at least see where you're planning to go with this. So we'll need to see that there. And the last 10 points here is for our safety factor. And then the final 10 points here is to make sure that you've actually completed it and submitted it on time.